Today I'm going to show you how to make homemade butter the easy way using my favorite kitchen appliance, the Ninja. This is by far the easiest way I've ever come up with for making butter, which can be quite taxing if you've ever made it before. So you will need your Ninja, you will need 35 ounces of cream, heavy cream, a tall pitcher, 2-quart pitcher of ice water. Make sure it's very cold, especially if it's summertime. Salt if you want your butter salted, and a good heavy spoon. And also finally a container to put your butter in when you are through making it. Preferably a glass container, but I'm all out of my glass containers, so today I'm using plastic. Stay tuned and we'll begin to make the butter. Okay, here we are with our Ninja and our cream, and I have this pretty full like on it. I'm going to want to fill my Ninja up to, I found that 35 ounces, the 35 ounce mark is really all this can take. If you go any higher, it overflows, and filling these jars up full to the top is just perfect. So, go ahead and, if you're familiar with your Ninja, all you do is put this blade in. The blades are what make the Ninja great. Put your lid on, put your top on, and process. Okay, I have been processing it just for about 2 minutes, and again, it can be varied time depending on the time of year. The weather seems to have an effect on butter. Also, how old the cream is. The older actually the better. It seems to process a lot faster, but this seems to be processing pretty fast right now. I just processed the Ninja, had it running for about a minute, and we've already got heavy whipped cream. I'll go ahead and take the lid off here, and you can see that my butter is turned pretty much into a solid, no dripping. And I never take the lid off. You don't have to. You can process this completely with the lid on, so there's no mess. There's just such a little mess with this, where if you've seen any of the other methods, you can see how terribly messy it can be. So I'm going to go ahead and process again until the butter reaches the next stage, and I will turn it back on. Okay, this butter is really processing fast today, and I'm going to run it for a few minutes so that you can actually see what it does. You can hear the motor kind of bog down a little bit on the Ninja when the heavy cream starts to turn to butter, and it seems to go through a couple of different stages. So I'm going to run it and let you see if you can hear kind of some of the changes in the sound, and hopefully it'll do it for us in a good period of time here. So now you can see that it's starting to change, and the butter starts compacting on the bottom, and the whey starts to wash. It turns like white, almost clear like water, and it washes the sides of the pitcher. And if you can see this now, we've got butter, and we can just pour that buttermilk off. Okay, our butter and buttermilk have separated, and we're ready to start processing our butter. First, we want to pour off the buttermilk, and this is the cool thing about the Ninja, is that, you know, it's all here in the pitcher. It's got this little spout. You just open it up. The spout can act as kind of a stop for any butter that's going to fall out. This thing is perfect for making butter. So I'm going to go ahead and pour on my buttermilk. And you can do all kinds of great things with this buttermilk, of course, buttermilk pancakes or biscuits. You want to really get as much of that buttermilk out as you possibly can. Shake it around a few times and let it come out. You want to hold the lid on the Ninja, you know, so it doesn't fall off, but it's all pretty easy. So, okay, so now we've separated it, and what I do is I take my lid over to the sink. You can follow me over to the sink, and I just rinse out my lid and get any residue that's left, and I'll set this buttermilk aside. Then I take my butter over to my sink again, and I just rinse the butter, start rinsing it right there in the sink. You're going to lose a few little particles of butter, but not very much. And it all just kind of sticks together. You've got to hold your blades in so they don't slip out, because we're not done using the blades yet. This just kind of gets the buttermilk out. And buttermilk is what is going to turn your butter bad. So you want to clean your butter. You want to get it as clean as you possibly can. Get that buttermilk out because it'll last a lot longer. It won't sour. It won't go bad. So that's kind of my first initial rinse. Just hold 1 second. I'll be right back. Put my pitcher of water, cold water, in the fridge because, again, it has to be very, very cold to do this. You can see I've already gotten some more butter that's accumulated on the bottom, so I'm going to dump that out. Then I take my pitcher of ice water. My ice is almost melted, but it's still very cold, so it's going to work just fine. And I'm going to pour this ice water in my Ninja and fill it up to about maybe the 35-40 ounce mark. Put my lid back on it. I'm going to process it. And what this does is with these Ninja blades, it just really gets this butter clean. I mean, it breaks it up. And I've never had cleaner butter ever with any other gadget that I've tried to use for making butter than I have with this Ninja, because of the blade action and the separation of the blades. It really, really works good. So I'm going to do this 2 or 3 times depending on how clean it starts to look. You can see the water's much cleaner now. And you don't have to do it very long. And you can see now the water's turned a little bit wider, so that's fleshed out a little bit more of that buttermilk. And we're going to do it one last time. Okay. Should about do it. Oops, don't touch the lid. Again, when you're pouring this, you kind of want to, your butter kind of gets a little crumbly here, so you want to kind of hold this lid so you don't lose any butter down the sink. After you do it a few times, you can see some of that butter trying to get out there back. Okay, so now pretty much all we have coming out of here is clear water, and it doesn't have to be perfectly clear. I mean, if there's a little bit of a residue, but I find that 3 rinses is good enough. Okay, so now if you want to salt your butter, you go ahead and just add your salt, which I do usually. Put the lid back on. Now, it doesn't process it like thoroughly through because the butter's kind of, but it does kind of get it in there. Now as we move on to our next step, we'll incorporate that butter into the, or that salt into the butter a lot better. So after I put my salt in it, then I drain it again one more time because it usually works out a little bit more of that butter. And we will shut off the camera and get ready to move to the next step. Okay, next we're going to just kind of get as much water out of the butter as we can that's been left incorporated into the butter. The Ninja, like I said, incorporates the water into the butter really well, but that washes it really well, but then you have a little bit more work to do to get that water out. So first you want to do is take the Ninja blades out, and I just want to note, see what I just did there? I have cut myself doing that very badly because these blades are truly sharp as a ninja's blade. Do not touch them. Just don't. If you have to do something, use a paper towel, and even be careful then because it will cut right through the paper towel. But anyway, pull your blades out and just set them aside. And then what I do is I start pulling this butter up against the side of the pitcher. And again, this is the nice thing about the Ninja. It's all done in this one container. So I start pulling the butter up to the sides, back towards the handle where I can hold it. And as I do this and start pulling it in, I don't know if you can see here, pulling it in up to the sides. And at first, because it's really cold, because I just got done processing in ice water, this is kind of difficult. As it turns more room temperature, it becomes easier, but you want to just kind of pull this butter up on the side of the wall and get it up. And then what you'll start to see happening is the water that's left in the butter is going to start getting collected down in the bottom, and then you can just pour it out. Also, as you do this, you're working your salt into your butter a lot more. Now this is actually too cold right now to really work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera and just let this sit at room temperature for about 5 minutes, and then it'll be really easy to work. So we'll go ahead and turn the camera off now. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to work this butter. I'm going to just kind of, again, push it up against the sides. I've let the butter sit for about 5-10 minutes, probably not even enough. It could sit a little bit longer, but I'm just going to go ahead and work it. Once it gets really soft, it gets real easy to work, but if it gets too soft, then it kind of turns into a mess. So you kind of want to get it right at that perfect place. And as you push it up against the wall, like I said, or the sides of the pitcher, water starts collecting in the bottom. And as often as you want to, just go ahead and take it over and dump your water. I make some little cuts down the side of my butter with the side of my spoon to let any reservoirs of water that are stuck get down into the bottom. And then I just kind of press it down again and spin it around a little bit and move it around. And it all pretty much sticks together, actually, so it really isn't that messy. And I think that's good enough. Okay, now then I'm going to start taking my butter and putting it into my container. Still a little bit of water in there, but we're going to get a little bit more of that water out in the container. So I'm going to start kind of smashing this down, and I don't like this container. It's the only one I had. Right now I've been doing a lot of storing food up lately, and I'm using up all my containers, so I'm kind of getting down to the slim pickings here, but as you can see, there's still a little bit of water dripping out on the sides. And you just kind of keep pressing it until you don't see any more water, and press it down into the container that you want, and you're pretty much done.